Buckley?
Here.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Here.
Commissioner Caton?
Here.
As you wish, please stand for the allegiance pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Commissioner.
Dear Lord, thank you for the day that you've given us. Thank you for all the people that were able to show up. Dear Lord, please allow us to do what's best for the county, make the best decisions we can for everyone. Dear Lord, keep us all safe as we go throughout the day. I ask this in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you. The consent agenda as printed is on the board. The item in yellow needs action. So I've taken it off the consent agenda and moved it to regular business. So in the motion, please remove that item from consideration. And motion, please.
Okay, I'll make a motion that the GIS maintenance rate increase from $80 to $90 will be moved to the general business on the agenda.
And you have a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda.
And then I will make a motion to approve the remaining on the consent agenda.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Short-winded here today on the arm. Okay, table agenda items are disposal of inventory, and Jessica's not here, but you were with her on
Yeah,
this.
well, what we did, the destruction request, that was tabled, actually the last 2 weeks, well, we went over there, and that was tabled the last 2 weeks, and we needed an updated list, and several of the items on the previous list, they were located, and the request today would be to it would be to update what contains the old office furniture and equipment, and I'm gonna request that we approve the list for destruction.
Okay, now, were there any items still missing?
No, it was basically, we found everything, and then some of the requests, like the older furniture down in the basement, there was 2 or 3 items that we couldn't, but it was like
There was a conference table that was in another office.
that's there. We
It's in
found
another
it.
room.
It was just basically like a metal desk or something, metal push desk.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
not what you consider a theft item or anything
No,
like that.
no.
Now, I think you said there was one laptop.
We found it.
But it's in another location, need to be picked up.
It was found, and basically one of the investigators was gonna go pick it up in another county.
No,
I mean, it
on a
was
regular
big.
trip. not-
Yes.
I'm picking it up today.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so, how do we act on this?
I'm just gonna basically approve, it would be, I'm gonna approve the request, for the
You're
destruction
gonna make
of,
a motion.
I'll make a motion that we, approve the destruction list of the remaining items, which would be furniture or,
Okay.
yeah.
And then what I'll call the good items.
Yeah.
The laptops and such.
We found them there,
And
there,
that'd
yeah.
be in the system, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've got with the auditor's office, know which one, she knows which ones.
Yeah, we've got a list
Okay.
here.
Okay.
There's a list out.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, so I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any questions? Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
And thank you guys, you and Jessica, for the work you put in on this. Appreciate that. Okay, another table item was the MARC contract in discussion. I have listed here the new numbers on the contract, and that contract is floating around for signatures if we approve this today. And as we've said in the past, we will spend this next year working on trying to get a better contract to bring in more funds for the county on this, to kind of reimburse us more for the 22 counties we're serving on this. So do I have a motion to approve a 1-year contract, including these items, for the forensic pathologist and the county?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the MORG contract for the year 2023, and you want me to go ahead and the items that are listed?
It's listed, and then the clerk has this list.
I'll second that.
Any questions? Rich?
So the doctor pays the county for use of the equipment and the suite?
We own the building and the equipment, and he runs a business out of that doing the autopsies. And so his business recompense, pays us back these listed items. And I think it's higher than the 52,000 income. When I went through the list, I saw some items that weren't included on that.
So my follow-up question then is, with the information we have that other counties are not paying what we may think is their fair share, does that impact any of his work?
Well, we're going to have a meeting with him very short order, possibly this week, and talk about that. And Terry's getting information from other counties that work with us, and what they're paying now, and frankly, what they think they could pay rather than go to St. Louis. And so, you know, that's in discussion at this point.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Now, this is an item that was on the list, and these guys said that they're not interested in accepting that extra pay, it's doing their job. So that's been taken off the list, doesn't require action. But it was on the agenda, so I left it on there. General business is renewal of the contract with Brad Ross, and I know Eric is so excited about getting up and talking about this.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Indy's been coaching.
Yeah.
Eric Dugal, Assessor's Office, and this is for Sam to approve the hourly rate increase for the GIS parcel maintenance.
Okay. Well, that was quick.
That was quick.
Okay. I've got some details on here. Brad Ross is maybe the
That's
owner.
two different contracts.
Okay, but we're talking about which one now, the nine?
The parcel maintenance.
Okay, so do you have two items on this agenda list?
Yes.
Okay, okay. I missed Sam. Now, what's Sam's last name?
It is surveying and mapping.
Okay, that's not the first name, that's the total name, okay. Okay. Yeah, there you go. And what is that? This is the 80 to 90 or no?
Yes.
This is- Okay, I had this all down as one agenda item.
No,
So,
two
okay.
different.
Okay, so let's talk about Sam first. What's the
That was
cost?
the consent agenda that was moved down,
Okay, this consent agenda one moved down.
is what he's talking about
That's
now.
what you're talking about right now, okay.
Oh, yes, but I had both the Sam and the Brad Ross,
No, they're two different
the
items.
two different items, but I had those both in my mind as one. Tell me about Sam.
Sam is, they do our GIS mapping for the county. You know, prior, we had Danny up here, and he contracted it out,
Right.
he left.
So,
And they're changing from $80 an hour to $90.
because they're doing more work,
No, just a rate increase.
okay, inflation, fuel, all that stuff, okay. Now, GIS, that's basically sitting at their place on a computer. Okay, that's not visiting the quarters or anything like
Right.
that, okay.
This has
That's
nothing to
Brad
do with
Ross
it.
thing.
Right.
Okay, okay, so,
Let's do that one.
They're estimating there'll be about a $2,000 increase to what we paid last year.
so the motion that you need is to change Sam's rate from $80 to $90 per hour.
Approve the contract.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
a whole new contract,
Yes.
so you are have to approve the entire new contract.
Okay,
Because
with
there's
that
more
rate
changes
change.
than just that.
Okay, now that wasn't all made clear to me, okay. So, do I have a motion?
Okay, so for the SAM contract, I will make a motion that we enter the new contract and pick up the rate increase of $10 per hour more, which is from 80 to 90 for the GIS parcel maintenance.
Okay, second?
I'll second that.
Questions? Bob?
I assume this is for the purpose of assessing the value of the
So all
property
of
or
our mapping,
minerals?
all of our mapping. from-
This is mapping only, not assessing, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
This is
this
mapping
is
only.
mapping locations where minerals exist?
No, it has nothing to do with Brad Ross.
Okay. Tell me what GIS mapping does.
Like when we have deeds come through and, you know, there's splits, say a guy had 100 acres.
All, not just mining. It's
Right,
all-
this
all
is for the
GIS.
whole-
Oh, for the
yes.
countywide,
This-
okay. Okay. So this is,
Yes, it's totally separate. This has nothing
Okay.
to do with Brad Ross.
I'm finally picking up on this. Okay, so Bob, it's everything, including mining, but everything.
Okay.
And, well, that's Now, I'm sure the collector, if she's in here, would appreciate this too, because it has a big effect on their office, right?
Yeah, it helps us to, you know, if a guy had 100 acres and it had the description of the land, we send it out to them, then they map.
You
map
sold
it
off
out.
20 acres.
Right, he sold off 20 acres, and they map it out and come back to our.
Okay, that's very good. And adds a new owner to the.
Right.
Okay. Now, any other questions? So for approval of and change or a new contract with Sam on GIS mapping. Now, did they get all the work?
The majority of the work is central.
Okay. Who determines what's not central?
So it goes through Leroy to look at, and if it's just like a lot and block in town, we can make the changes on that, but, you know, if it's got a big legal description.
Right. Okay. Okay, do I have, and I got the second. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor of the new SAM contract with the $80 to $90 change, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item 2 on this agenda item is Brad Ross. Now we're talking different things.
Correct.
This is for the mining locations only
Right.
and
Quarries.
opportunities, and I put on there the quarries are considered mines
Right.
in this terminology. And it's a big deal. You know,
He is
this-
a geologist.
yeah, and he has to determine what that ore body is that nobody's ever seen before.
What the life expectancy.
Life expectancy of it, the quality of the ore. You can drill into good limestone, but you get shale down there, and that's worthless as far as usable rock. Then you go back into limestone, well, he has to know where those are. He has to know about the overburden, all that stuff that goes into this. So it's a pretty detailed job.
Right.
So, how will, and with this is just a renewal of the existing contract,
Yes, but his rate did change also.
okay?
His was $200 per hour, and it's going to $250.
Okay.
And St. John, I think she has it listed up there, they help share with the expenses, like his travel.
And iron. And about what is our change in cost for you? About?
We have, last year we paid him $2,862.35, but that was an off year. In 2021, it was $6,426.25. And this is a review year, so he will go in and inspect. There's a little more detail work in a review year, so typically a little bit higher than off year.
Has the new quarry location in the very north end of our county been assessed and appraised yet?
We've looked at it, we looked at it last year, and they haven't broke ground on it yet. They have cleared the land, so.
I'm sure they've done a lot of test drilling.
Right,
Yeah. And so will Brad get those copies?
yes.
Okay, so he has that information.
He will send out a letter to them requesting information from them.
Generally, they're pretty forthcoming with that?
For the most part, yeah, they were.
Okay.
Pretty neat, we went with them last year.
Yeah.
So that was really neat
Yeah.
to do that process, it was awesome.
It's quite, and is Brad the only guy around that can do that, or? Not
None
many.
that I know of.
Yeah. I think he followed his dad.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we renew the contract with Bradley D. Ross, certified professional geologist, through the assessor's office.
I'll second.
Any questions? Bob?
Coming back to my other one, this is active assessment of active mining areas?
Yes.
Or a
quarries,
potential.
mines.
Or
Or
known
yes.
potential?
Okay, that's the other.
Yeah.
It also includes potential areas that are not open.
Correct.
For instance, Wolf Mountain, that will not be an active quarry in our time, but it was bought as quarry property.
Where's that?
That's what would have been the IKO quarry.
Or King School?
Yes.
Yes.
Has that been evaluated?
We went out and looked at that, but they haven't done anything with the ground out there yet.
So how's it appraised now? Is it just farmland?
Just
Ag land?
Yes.
Okay, and in the foreseeable future, they won't develop that. It's maybe, I don't know if they're locking in from competitors that property, or if it's standby. I don't know how they consider that. But I'm happy they did what they did by buying a portion of Iron Mountain Trap Rock and working there, because there's no big trucks gonna be on the county roads at this time.
Right.
Because of that change. So I was pretty thrilled to see that. So, okay.
Well, they actually, they're securing, mining from trap rock.
Yeah.
And then in the future, if that's successful, they can move to Wolf Creek, Wolf Mountain area. It gives them way more, time, years to develop.
And I think they're gonna be buying some of the undersized waste
Yes.
from Iron Mountain Trap Rock and rescreening that to get usable granules for their.
And it's right there on.
It's just 20-25 acres of that property. So, and they won't be doing their quarry work, they'll be using other quarries, so it's a win-win for us and for them and everybody. Okay. Okay, any other, let's see, I got a motion second. Any other questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, replace broken detention door glass at the jail, $1,210. It's just an existing padded cell, they got a broken glass for some reason. Any discussion on that up here?
How is it broken?
I don't know,
Who broke it?
I don't know.
It's broken by an inmate.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
So the charges filed against that inmate then, Sheriff?
Yes, and it's supposedly not, you're not supposed to be able to break it with a plastic seal tray and break it.
Dan, this has happened before.
Yes.
They break them in. We've already replaced the one before. This is a new one, right?
Yes.
And basically, this is in the area, what would you call them, the big cell block, right? Is it in one of the larger areas?
Yes.
Yes.
An isolation padded
Yeah.
cell, apparently.
Right.
Okay. I
And
know.
this-
Yeah, go ahead.
This is not ARPA money, right? This is gonna be
No, it's-
paid for from the county.
And has to be special materials, flame-proof, shatterproof, all the
And
proofs.
have to order special and to our specs, so, they just don't have sheets of it laying here and there, you gotta order the right size.
If it's tempered, it can't be cut after it's tempered, so it has to be cut and then tempered. And does this have the wire embedded in it?
It has, Jamie, do you know what that is they put in between?
I don't know, they've changed that now, but it's like different grades. It'll take a 15-minute attack, 20-minute attack, 30-minute attack, and 30-minute attack for
Attack with what?
like force
Fist?
against it.
Okay.
You know, like from a hard object.
And they
It's
make
what it's
noise-
rated for, is what
They
it
make
says.
noise when they're doing that.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm making a motion, we replace the broken glass at the detention door for the law enforcement jail at the addition of $1,210.
Not addition. it's-
Not addition, but whatever, the total, how's that?
I'll second that.
Question? Okay, we do want our visitors to stay where they are. Shane, okay, come on up, Blake, we got the next 5 items. Blake is, I'll say remodeling the office over there. So he's revamping and changing people around and what's that, sir?
We are.
Okay.
So we're requesting to change the grade of Dick Matthews from grade 2 to 4. It's actually, the position's held by Rachel Thomas. She started out as the prosecutor's secretary. When we brought in the victim advocate grant that we have, which is a separate employee, and the condition of that grant is that we have our own victim advocate ourselves. We also got to have 2. The victim advocate grant employee is paid by the grant almost completely, except for some money from the county for the total reasons. But this activity comes out of our budget itself. The advocate was she came from secretary to being advocate, so she actually took a promotion in order to do that. And in doing so, she is doing essentially both types of jobs, both legal secretary and advocate. Under the CBIZ raises that are expected to come in, her pay would actually come out to be lower than our secretary's pay. And in fact, she's got
Existing pay?
Yes.
Or with the change?
With her existing pay right now is a little bit above the secretary's pay because again, it's motion for her at the time. But seen as a classification just as a victim advocate, it brings her down to almost $1 or so less than a secretary. And especially one who's been on the job for 4 years, which makes her one of the senior staff members in our office. And so we're asking to change her classification in order to get her on board where should at least be in the which commission as a secretary, with the addition of the legal, of the victim advocate title, which we need to have in order to maintain the other grant position.
Do you have those dollar figures in mind, or does Corey have that?
Corey has
The
them.
the victim advocate's not gonna change, her pay is not gonna change at this time.
Okay,
With
so,
CBIZ, it will make a difference.
so it's a change in title but not pay at this
Right,
point?
right, on the victim advocate, correct.
Okay, and is this effective when?
This one will be made effective whenever CBIZ goes into effect.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's another, what, several days, weeks, few weeks. Okay, so effective at CBIZ, start at CBIZ, and that's a title change too, not just the pay, but you want the title change made now?
The title changes is going to be a hybrid of advocate and legal secretary.
And that's only just for grant purposes.
Okay,
The title, we're gonna kind of merge the two titles together for just that grant purpose.
okay. So for now, who pays this bill? Is that Grant or us or what?
We
The
pay
county.
for.
The county pays?
We pay this advocate's money, the other advocates pay through grant money.
Okay, that's another item, right?
That advocate's not on our item, it's typically paid through by the state grant.
Okay. Okay, everybody understand that?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So make a motion to change the victim advocate, from grade 2 to a grade 4, for the PA's office.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Questions? Amber?
So I just wanna make sure, this isn't gonna affect the victim advocate grant position, correct?
No, in fact, this is to maintain that grant position because we need to keep this victim advocate. If we lose her, then we're going to lose the grant.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Hang on, Blake, you got,
Hang on,
Yes.
you didn't take a vote on the broken glass. I had a first and a second, but there was no vote.
I'll put that on next week, and, okay.
No.
Okay. Okay, I thought we had that. All in favor of this, approving the $1,210 to replace the broken glass, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so that cuts off an item from next week. Yeah, I got that. Now, we just did this one, so let's go to the next item for Blake. Go ahead.
Judge, this one, we have two employees that title is deputy clerks. And originally deputy clerk was a receptionist job, that's all they did was take incoming phone calls. That position has changed over time. One of the people who had that originally was Alicia Irby. Alicia then became the secretary in charge of all of our traffic cases. So every traffic ticket comes in, or even traffic related criminal offenses go through her. She handles all the offers, all the formation of the cases. But her title didn't change. So even though she took good jobs, legal secretary, she still kept the title as deputy clerk. That wasn't a problem until CBIZ come in and it made a completely big difference between the two. The $2 difference in pay between the legal secretary and deputy clerk. She's no longer acting as deputy clerk. In fact, nobody's acting as deputy clerk in our office. Nobody's acting as just simply a receptionist. That'd be Alicia. The other secretary has Autumn took over the position there answering the phone. But Autumn's position also at the time she took it over included, she is basically the intake secretary. So every police report that comes into our county goes through her, and she divvies them out to the different attorneys. She's also the restitution secretary, so she kind of money that comes in to pay off our victims goes through her. She's the one who does the accounting on it firsthand. I review it, then the checks go out from her office, all prepared by her. So she's never actually operated as a deputy clerk receptionist ever. But when she was hired on, they put deputy clerk down as far as the title. And again, it wasn't a big deal because everybody was being paid the same before CBIZ. Deputy clerk and legal secretary get the same rate of pay. It wasn't a problem. But when the CBIZ came in, all of a sudden she'll be $2 an hour below others who've worked as long as she has.
This restitution money coming in, do you have two people looking at that?
The restitution money comes in, she formulates and provides us with a copy of the restitution. I look over that. It's also go back to office manager, and I approve it, and she sends it out after she's been with her.
What's the potential of fraud there?
My understanding, we're operating according to the suggested policies, how it's supposed to be double checked. I haven't specifically what the policy was, it came up during my training earlier last year. But basically there's a couple line checks on it.
From what I remember, it's only money orders and they have to be made payable.
Well, that is.
Oh, they don't have cash or anything like that come through?
We don't accept cash or checks made out to the office. It's all through money orders made out to the.
Okay, that
Makes it a
would
little
help.
bit easier, so. It doesn't actually go into our accounts.
When would your switch, Blake, from the deputy clerk to the legal secretary, take effect? Is that now or is that during the CBIZ?
We're working on that.
Now?
Effective now.
Okay.
Thank you.
But she should have been legal secretary.
These are all things.
Yeah,
that
I was just
Melissa
the legal
was
secretary
doing.
initially,
Yes.
and then Alicia became the legal secretary. when
Right,
she changed
yes,
the
and I
classification.
know the position, I know some of that, I appreciate you, yes.
These are all things that Melissa and I have talked about. She was going to request them, but she didn't want to do that with the.
Gotcha.
Okay. Let Blake make those decisions, yeah, okay. Motion?
Make a motion that we go, change the title for the 2 employees from deputy clerk 1 to the legal secretary for the PA's office.
Effective immediately.
Effective immediately.
Second?
I'll second that.
Any questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
I got you this time.
Get that, Linda?
Okay, here we go.
You get in trouble.
Rhonda Dancy's over in the Child Support Enforcement Office. Now, this office is not actually our office per se. We are a host county for the entire circuit. So it's actually funded through the entire circuit, the 4 counties in that. Actually, physically, they're in a really different location. We don't have really an interaction day-to-day between their staff and our staff, so they're not operating independently. It's my understanding that under the previous administration, our office, my office, was responsible for the requisitions and with day-to-day oversight as far as that goes. However, we weren't there in the office to see what they needed anyway in order to get the requisitions. So Rhonda came in at a point in time when there were actually, the whole office itself, composed of 2 secretaries and a prosecuting attorney. When Rhonda came in, it was vacant. The prosecuting attorney position was vacant, the other secretary position was vacant. So she had to come in and reconstruct the entire office down to, okay, who do we call to state on this problem? Who do we handle this? Who are all our contacts? Who are our contract, or who's our contracts? Essentially restructured the entire office. And at this point in time, we've been letting Rhonda handle the requisitions part of it too, which was initially handled by our office manager, Brittany Early. Brittany handled a few other items also for that child support enforcement office, but again, we don't have any day-to-day contact with it, so my office is really not in a good position to make a decision of what's best in that office. Given that Rhonda has taken over this, and acting as an office manager for her, we're asking that change her title from legal secretary to the office manager. It's a separate physical office with separate physical contracts, and funded completely different. So we preserve that title.
Okay. And one thing I didn't get on the slide, this is child support office. I missed that somehow. Okay, that's true, correct? That's where you want that stuff?
Yes, child support prosecution.
Okay. Okay, motion?
I'll make a
And
motion.
is this effective immediately?
This one would be effective.
Okay.
I have a question. Is that a pay change for her?
Yes.
Because that's gonna affect the grant and it's already been approved for the whole year the budget has.
This will be an increase for her.
Okay,
So they're fully funded by the state, so anything that's not, if they go over, it is the county's responsibility to cover that.
How much pay change will it be?
$1 an hour.
And that's 40-hour job,
That's 35.
35-hour job? Okay. Okay, $35 a week.
plus benefits and everything that's gonna go along with that, that the grant's not gonna cover.
Matching tax.
And I
Well,
would-
the benefits won't change,
Yes,
basically, except
yes,
for.
they will.
Except
Social
all
Security,
matching taxes?
Medicare, retirement, all of that will change.
Okay,
And I suggest that it gets approval through the state first with the grant coordinator to make sure that that is okay.
Is it?
so you're saying this item should be tabled until we do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're saying we need to check with the grant before we take the
I would double check with them and make sure
Well,
it's okay.
They may approve a budget amendment and increase the budget accordingly,
That
but
would be
if not,
next too,
then it would
yeah.
be the other, it would be
Okay.
not.
So you will work with us on
Us,
how
but
that
the
needs
other
to be
counties
worded?
in that circuit.
Yeah, Rhonda would need it, yeah, Rhonda would need it.
Well, then Bridget and Amber, you know, she did a lot of work there. She
From what I understand,
basically
she set up
rebuilt
the
that
office.
office.
Oh,
and did it.
absolutely. We're
Yeah.
saying that
She
that.
deserves it, cause she really went in there and
Right.
basically built it.
It's just, I would go by,
Yeah.
you know.
Do you feel, and I'm gonna, as this might be you guys out of your realm, but would this be something we could find out in a week, or do we need to just take it under advisement until?
It all just depends.
I didn't know if that was a weekly, I know how the state moves sometimes.
Well, we
Like I
can put
say,
a rush
that
on it and see
state.
how fast we
They
can.
don't necessarily have to approve per rate increase, just know that the way their budget is set, it's to the penny for their expenses, including wages. So
Well,
if
if
it were
you
to
guys
go over
will-
that, we will not be reimbursed that money from the state unless they approve a budget amendment to accommodate it.
Well, if you
I
guys
don't know
will
the
draft a
process.
letter, we'll send it. And,
That would be Rhonda
That
that
would
would
be
need to
Rhonda.
do that.
Right, we can have Rhonda.
Yeah.
okay, have them draft a letter and we'll put it on our letterhead to get that done, and quicker the better. So, take this under advisement?
I take that in there.
Okay, is that all right? You understand that?
I understand.
Okay, okay, so that's items under advisement. No action required today.
And I don't think it takes, I hope that it doesn't take that long, but I don't think it takes that long to find out. And if we have to do the above and beyond, we have to do that.
And to be quite honest, I mean, I think that that office, they do have a situation where if they don't spend the money that's given to them, then they're going to lose it.
Yeah.
That's all, they've always had an excess amount of money in order to spend, so I don't think we should.
And at the end of the year, they usually have a little bit of excess.
It may be something in there then that we might already have if we find out. We may not have to go to that.
I guess it's more or less just, if the county's okay with approving this, just know that we have to cover any overage that was not
Any unapproved overage? Yeah.
correct.
No.
And not just us, but you have to meet with the other 3 circuit counties to pay their share, pro rata share. And I don't know if they would be aware that that is a possibility.
And I think we pay 56% of that now or something like that. Okay. Blake, we're not getting tired of you, but this is the last time I've got them for you.
I'm not.
Okay. No,
No,
wait a
you
minute.
have the next one.
No,
You got
no,
one
no.
more.
I forgot
One
one.
more.
This is the last one.
This is the good one, this is the easy one.
Okay.
So, the office is actually short right now, 3 full-time lawyers. We've hired on Marla Lamb, and she became our first assistant, we've still got Shane. That still leaves us 3 open spots. So we're operating at basically less than half staff as far as the lawyers, and that's the ones that actually get the job done. I was contacted by 2 retirees, recent retirees, who were wanting to volunteer to work for us on a part-time basis. And we certainly had the need for
But
it.
volunteer might be a bad word.
They said, we
Part-time
really
employee.
want to come work for you.
Or I think I understood their wives want them to come work for us.
That is probably
Okay,
a
right.
good portion of at least that story.
But they probably won't pay us either, I guess.
Well, we can take that on, as part-time employees, which means we'd have less than $1,000 a year.
1,000 hours.
1,000 hours a year. And so we're not paying them any benefits or retirements, which both of them already have their retirements and their Medicare and their benefits. They've been coming in, one of them is Mike Maynard, who has been a lawyer in this area for quite some time. Mike would be handling just the filing of traffic tickets and traffic-related charges. The charges that were involving homicides that still lead to the full-time lawyers. The other attorney we'd be bringing in was Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson had been a prosecuting attorney in Wayne County. He'd been a circuit attorney in St. Louis. He retired from the Department of Transportation as their attorney years ago. So he's got plenty of experience. Then we would have him directed towards filing our charges, which would be everything from misdemeanors up to well-known felonies. Still leads with very serious charges to the full-time prosecuting attorneys. And we're asking to bring those both in today if we can.
Okay, now do you want their names in the motion, or do you want that just blank hire 2 attorneys in case something happens?
I'm fine with leaving it blank hire 2 attorneys.
I think that might be wise.
Is there a certain pay that they would make?
Right now, according to our budget, we were allocated, starting salary pay for our office for a full-time prosecutor is $54,000, which of course comes with all the different benefits on top of that.
Okay.
These attorneys would each be working for $30,000.
On an hourly basis.
Such that they would keep under the $1,000 or 1,000 hours a year. Yes.
Okay. Yes, Amber?
So, is it a requirement of theirs to be on payroll? Because if you did them as contract, like 1099s instead of W-2, the amount of hours would matter.
Say that again, their amount of hours will.
Would not matter.
Correct, so if they were 1099 and we had a contract on file with them and they weren't an employee, then they're not limited to the 1,000-hour rule because they're not on our payroll.
Okay, that
It
might
would just be,
improve your schedule.
they'd submit an invoice every month for their hours and then they get paid, or bi-monthly or however they wanted to do it, but then it would be by contract and not necessarily limited.
And we've done
Just a
it.
suggestion, I didn't know if that was something that had been discussed as an option.
Well, I would expect that there's a good likelihood that the number of, that their efforts might exceed the amount of hours allotted to them. Salary wise, that you have to operate under a salary. I believe that we had Cafe Lisa Day was one of the other contractors who switched over to being a employee of that sort, and then working for the office until last year. It seems a simpler option just to simply go with as an employee as opposed to a contractor.
Now, let me understand, the 1099 employee is an hourly employee or salaried employee?
They're contract, so they're not an employee at all. It's
Okay,
just like
okay,
you
good
paying.
But we pay them by the hour?
Sam contract you approve, they just submit a bill with the hours they worked and we just pay them.
So it's paid by the hour, okay.
Or how the
however-
contract set up, it could be $2,000 a month for,
Okay.
doesn't matter the hours. All can be different, it's just they are not a W-2 with taxes paid or limited to the 1,000 hours.
So Blake, would you work with the auditor's office in signing that contract? I think you may have some history that you can refer to.
I can, as long as I can get the gentleman started as soon as possible, then today,
Well.
if they can get on this.
Okay.
And it's no matter to us, I just, if you didn't wanna be limited to the 1,000 hours, you
It
could
worked
go with
well with our
contract.
other attorney that Melissa had.
Okay.
She was going through payroll and we didn't have any issues with that.
It seemed that that was, it seemed to me that as an employee, it's easier to handle their pay, and
Okay.
organization for it. Yeah, these gentlemen know that they're coming in now to help us out. I didn't want to go to a contractor type title.
Okay.
It seems to have a lot of connotations to come with it. And that's somebody who's an actual employee of our county, and one of them is at least a resident of our county.
And they'll have offices in your area?
They'll operate, we have an office for them to share. Probably it's not going to be required for them to sit in that office or do a good portion of their work. But we want them in the office in order to work easier with the people who are actually in their cases and staff members.
All the paperwork and all that stuff, yeah. So your preference would be hire them as employees and on a part-time basis?
Right.
And you would schedule that part-time?
Correct.
Okay. Do I have a motion to that effect? Do I have that already? No, I don't have that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request to hire 2 part-time attorneys
Effective immediately.
effective immediately for the prosecutor's office.
I'll second that.
Yes, Aaron?
Are these 2 additional positions, or are they just being filled in lieu of hiring full-time?
Basically, they'd be filled in lieu of hired full-time at this point. I mean,
That's all.
And they may move into full-time.
they may move into full-time, or they may, basically, they understand they're helping us out for right now. They're moving full-time. It needs something that they're able to do so. Right now, we have just 2 charges, but they're able to move up to the helping us in the courtroom, then they're considered full-time.
Okay. Bob?
I assume part-time or contract that they're not eligible for benefits.
Right, that's they've been avoiding the benefits and the retirements.
Yeah, he said that they have other insurance options.
And both of them have their Medicare, they both of them have their retirements, so those are the benefits.
I did have, what was the hourly rate?
They're gonna be set up almost exactly like Kathy was, so whatever her salary was.
So it's not hourly.
No, it's salary.
So how will we track the hours to make sure it's not over 1,000?
The way we did with her, so we just put in the amount.
She reported the amount. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Dan?
I don't have a question. We have the same type of employee, and he just does his time and Tyler like somebody else does. And when he runs out of time, he don't work anymore till next year.
Okay. Okay, questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Well, I'm getting good at that.
You're getting
that?
he's
Yeah.
there, he's there.
Thank you, Blake.
Thank you.
Blake.
Now, sadly, you're gonna have to wait another week for one of these meetings. So just, knuckle down and do your best to endure it. Yeah.
Now, we are off Monday, aren't we? So if you had anything you want to put in, it'd have to be Friday.
That, I've got that covered. And also in this building, the contractors will start, they're gonna run conduit on that far wall over there from basement to ceiling, to the top, the roof. And so they'll be doing that work on that holiday. So there'll be some minor thing, just disruption when you come back in, maybe if you ceiling tiles out, things like that. You'll know they've been here, that they'll try to minimize that. But that's the first day of work on this HVAC renewal. Agenda items must be in by 10 a.m. on Friday. And no, you don't get the Valentine's Day off.
Oh, darn.
No. Okay. Other business that may arise, correspondence. Public comments. Departmental reports.
Yesterday was the cutoff for the annual bids. I will be sending those out. So if there's anyone that has not submitted their annual bids, please send them.
Okay.
Bless you.
So you don't get to buy office supplies next year, right?
That's right.
Not if I don't turn it in.
Okay. Okay, departmental reports, I have one. We need to look at our building permit rules. Yeah, people are building all over the county and very few people are buying a permit. And this is something that's important. And the big thing is this in a floodplain? And Bob is sitting there, he'll give them all kinds of maps and ideas and stuff at no cost to help these people when they come in. They may not have any idea, maybe that lower corner down there is out of a floodplain. That's not a good place to build a shed or a building or whatever. When Bob can help them with that and they maybe move their building or put it a foot above floodplain or something like that, it's a huge benefit to them in the future of insurance and all the stuff that can come into it. And it's at no cost. It's a $20 fee to do this, and that's a big thing that people need to do. And we just get very little compliance to that. I think Bob said he was in a neighborhood the other day, new houses popping up all over the place, and nobody bought the building permit. All you gotta do is come in, go to the county clerk's office, tell them you want a building permit, and they'll say, is this in a floodplain? That's the big thing. And then, yes or no, and then if there's any question at all, just come over and talk to Bob. So, something we need to look at, maybe we need to take it under advisement some way to, yeah.
Plus, especially right now with interest rates up so much, I mean, banks are supposed to do this when they're underwriting a loan, but if people aren't, with rates so high, they probably might be doing this out of their own pocket or anything else, so I think it's a great asset we should be offering, I mean, making sure people are aware.
And if they go into that bank for a building loan and they can show Bob's map that, no, this is not in a floodplain.
Well, I mean, at a bank, they're doing that anyways, because they're doing flooding, they're
Yeah,
checking
but
on
they
flood
can,
zones.
they can
But I'm
see
saying
that
people
you
aren't,
looked at it.
with rates so high right now, people may not be going to the banks to get the money, I mean, they may be finding other avenues, so I'm saying if they're not going to the banks, they definitely need to be using us here to see that flood zone.
And it's a Class A county, if we don't have Bob doing his job, then you can't buy National Flood Insurance Program insurance. And then you have to go in the open market, now I'm talking Lloyd's of London and these guys, so there's a difference in the rate.
Lots of money.
We definitely talked about this before, but there's no enforcement of it.
Right.
So,
But that's what this is all about, we need to do something about this.
We issued 57 permits last year.
Yeah.
That's it.
so how can this be enforced?
It's gotta be done through a ballot measure.
Well, it's something we need to address.
That's what we've always been told, that we couldn't have planning and zoning unless they
We're not doing planning.
No, I'm planning and
Not
zoning.
enforcement.
Very carefully avoiding planning and zoning. Just the building permit requirement.
Basically, if the commission had an ordinance, who would enforce that ordinance? Because it would help us out too. I know Nick told us last week, we had a road cut in a neighborhood that we were not aware of, where there was a new house constructed and they tapped the water main. I mean, it was just something we were not aware of.
And it's now causing a traffic accident.
It's what?
Causing a traffic hazard.
Permanently or just during construction?
Well, until we get it repaired.
Well, when they don't fix it back right, we have to come over.
And when you go out, you guys have to do that, and we're not getting actually refunded for what you do.
It's in Terrelac, and I know there's a lot of problems out there right now. Before we could charge Terrelac, the maintenance facility.
And they would charge the contractor.
And now it's subcontracted out on the maintenance and.
Well, this
it
whole
just runs
slide
into an
is
issue.
bringing up those questions we're all asking, how to handle this. So that's something we need.
So if you guys were to set an ordinance for building permits, then who would enforce that? Would there be a penalty? Who would enforce the penalty? That, I think is the real question.
Yeah, at least they'd probably give us a leg to stand on to enforce it.
And it is $20 isn't much to pay to get the permit, to gain the information. Some people don't wanna pay the $20.
Or make a trip in.
Or
Or make the possibility suddenly they're in the floodplain and they can't build where they wanted to.
Well, do you have to sometimes, like I say, they do, you know, as well as I, water tap. We've got new asphalt laid.
This
and
road
it
was
tears it up,
recently
and
laid.
you have to go out. I mean, they ought to be responsible if you have to go out and do that, to basically pay
Well,
for
the city of
work you
Farmington
do.
charges by the square foot when they have to do a road repair, but they're in a different situation than we are.
I don't know, the collector would love to hear this, but we can put a tax limit on it.
Let's do it.
But, I'm sure they'll love to hear that.
And no contractor should be cutting our road without.
And
Not
contractors
without
setting
us knowing about it.
No.
prior to Terra Lac having their internal issues, whatever that may be, we would charge Terra Lac, they would pay us, and then they would charge the contractor for the repairs.
By the homeowner.
So, yeah, or the homeowner, whomever, maybe, and now
It's very similar to Rich's subdivision. County maintains the road, but it's city utilities. So there's city water and sewer running through it, there's natural gas, so they can, and they do it quite often, don't they, Rich? Tear the road up, replace the water.
But they
main,
repair it.
But they repair it.
Bob?
The county clerk's office sends me every building permit that they have, that's taken out, and I check each one of them for floodplain issues. If there's an issue, I'll contact the owner and make sure they're in an area that's safe.
Don't build in this corner.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
That includes all buildings,
Yeah,
barns and houses, whatever, sheds, I'll check it all.
yeah. Okay, this is, not to be acted on, it's just a report from me that something we need to look at. So, Mr. Parks has this report for us. We're up again at 12.30%.
Starting the year off right. Yep, 12%, so. I know last year, I still think this is gonna come down. We're seeing it drop a little bit, but I don't think, I'm hoping we can stay in the double digits, but, again, so I think as long as we're above 5%, I think everybody's gonna be pretty happy. Thank you for the people in the community out buying.
Buying locally.
Yep.
Okay, and we compare very well with last February and way above the February before that. And remember that these are all increases over the previous year, not some baseline way back when. It's over the previous year. So we're growing at that rate, compounded rate. Rich?
So this does not include our recently enacted internet property?
No.
Okay.
This is just.
Say that again, Rich.
This does not include our internet tax.
You say, this
This
is just
does
sales
not.
tax.
Prop P tax?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the
Property
next
tax.
slide.
And what did you
But,
say before, 68% of this comes from outside the county?
Yes, only 32% of our sales tax comes from our residents. Everything else is from visitors.
Okay.
I don't know how they come up with that number, I guess based on credit card use or something, I don't know. But that number, that's the official number, that 68% of the, and we're talking about, what, $11 million a year total sales tax income, basically? Something on that order. And that's growing at this rate. So it's profound. And your property taxes have come down by that amount.
But the expenses have not.
The expenses.
No.
Okay.
The price of doing business.
Right. Okay, okay, the next part of that report is, we had an even better month last month on our Prop P or use tax. Rich, this is answering your question. This is separate from that sales tax, that other sales tax.
So if you back into the numbers, about a little over $10 million spent online in our county, this past month.
Okay.
Which is pretty,
Yeah.
that just
And-
blows my
and-
mind, $10 million.
That red at the bottom says it's still gonna be some more months before we can reliably predict the income from the store. We don't know what it's gonna do, but it's looking pretty good, so. So,
I remember when we got 57, we thought, okay, we're in the right, going the right direction. We get to 96, we just keep, it's amazing how much it keeps going up.
and if you've never seen, Parks do a backflip.
You don't want to see that.
Okay, so that's the two reports from Parks on that. And any other departmental reports? You gotta outdo Blake.
Well, and I have something to say on that one. Top Pete Pass, Parks the ones that really got right on the ball and got the paperwork where we could actually, we wouldn't even be collecting this yet. We would just be getting our first check, and he wouldn't have.
Actually, give that to Dana. Dana was on top of it, and then also Rhonda and Linda and Teresa, I mean, the whole clerk's office as well. They got all the paperwork, helped us out there, and yep, hopefully get us to our goal quicker than we thought, so. Thank you, guys.
Okay, any other departmental reports?
I make a motion we adjourn.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.